Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunastu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant verses 21 to 30 of chapter 7.
Yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhaya citumicchati
Tasya chalam shraddham
eva vidadhamyaham
Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktaha Tasya Radhanamihate Labhate Chachata Kaman Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan Antavattu Phalam Tesham Tadbhavatyalpamedhasam
devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamati avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajanantah mamavyayamanuttama Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah murhoyam na vijanati yoko mamajamavyayam vedaham
Samatitani Vartamanani Charjuna
Bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana
Ichhadvesha samuttena
Dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva mohanirmuktaha bhajante mam dridhavrataha
Varana Mokshaya Mamashritya Yatanti Ye
te brahma tadviduh kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam sadhibhutadhidaivam sadhiyajnam cha ye viduhu prayana kale vichamam ye viduryukta chetasaha.
So, does anyone have any questions on what we have covered so far? We'll take all the questions first.
Janki ji, you are muted.
Oops, sorry. Any questions anyone has? We'll take all questions first. Okay, last chance. Nothing? Okay, so where were we last time? We were doing the 28th verse, the 27th verse which said that by the delusion of the pairs of opposites arising from desire and aversion, all beings are subject to illusion and birth. So why are we affected by the world? Why are we deluded by the world? Why are we made upset by the world? Why are we agitated by the world? Why does the world have any effect on us? Why does it give us joy, or why does it give us sorrow? The world by itself is not capable of doing this. It doesn't have the capacity to do this. So then how are we getting joy and sorrow out of it? We aren't getting joy and sorrow out of it. What is happening is that we have desires. We have likes and dislikes. When something caters to that, we call that our joy. And when something doesn't cater to it, we call it sorrow. It is that simple. It is not the world who's giving us joy and sorrow. Joy and sorrow are inherent in us. So when the world throws out cooks, it catches it. And so you feel the joy, the sorrow. The same object is capable of giving joy to one person and sorrow to another person. Please realize that. A cigarette for some people is huge joy, and for some people it's disgusting. So the same object can give joy to one and sorrow to another. The same girl gives great joy to her mother and great sorrow to her mother-in-law. The individual is the same. The object is the same. Therefore, we can easily conclude that the object does not have the joy and sorrow. The world does not have the joy and sorrow. That joy and sorrow is within us. It's within how we relate to that object. Got nothing to do with the object. This is a great lesson of philosophy we must learn, because all our life, our attention is on the object and how we can change the object. That's all we think about. Not recognizing that it is the desire, it is the likes and dislikes within that is giving us these feelings of joy and sorrow. So since we are born with desires, from the moment we are born, we take birth in fact because of desires. If we didn't have desires, we wouldn't take birth. As you must have heard often that when you get moksha, you don't get rebirth. So why don't you get rebirth when you get moksha? Because what is moksha? Desires have all gone. Desires have been eradicated. So how can you get birth after that? Every birth is because of desire. You have taken birth in this classroom. Why? Because you have a desire. You will be dead from this classroom at 11:30. Why? Because you have other desires. So we move, we make all these movements, we go from place to place. Every time we make a movement, we go place X to place Y. We call it birth in the new place and death in the old place. So why does this even happen? It happens because of our desires. So we are born, our very first birth is because of desire. And therefore, from birth itself, all beings are subject to illusion. What is this illusion? That there is something out there that is very important. That there is something out there that there is, it will, if I have it, I'll be very happy. Or if I don't have it, I'll be very unhappy. This is all the illusion that we are subject to right from birth. So then, what do we do about it? Yes, Sanjay, even the same object at different times gives us different joys and sorrows. The wife, when you married her in the beginning, was a source of great joy. 10 years later, she's a object of distress. So the same object also gives us different joy and sorrow at different times. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so let's go to verse 28, chapter 7, verse 28. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva mohanirmuktaha bhajante mam drudhavrataha. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ताः भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः. Yesham means of them. Tvanta, tu antagatam papaha, whose papam, whose sins have antagatam, gatam gone, anta end, so gone to an end, means those they whose sins have come to an end. Sin is a very important concept in most religious conversations. So we must understand what is sin. Everyone tells us, every religion tells you, you have to keep away from sin. So what is the definition of sin? What makes an action sin? In Smriti literature, they make lists that this thing is sin and this thing is papa, this is punya. Philosophically, that doesn't always hold. Uh, Philosophically, what is sin? Sin is any action that comes back and agitates us. That is sin. If we perform an action and it comes back and it insults us, there's a rebound from that action. We feel we've done something we shouldn't have done. Then we have committed a sin. So what is sin? It is only the agitations that come to us as a result of the actions we do. If actions are such that they cause us agitations, then these actions are known as sin. So let's talk about eating non-veg, for instance. Is eating non-veg a sin? Is meat eating a sin? If you eat meat and something in you tells you you're doing something wrong, you feel guilty about it, you feel uncomfortable about it, it agitates you when you eat it, then you are doing a sin. But if you feel no such guilt, if you feel no such agitation because you have eaten that meat, then as far as you're concerned, it is not a sin. So sin is subjective to the person. If the action comes back, rebounds on us, insults us as it were, then that action for us is sin. So you could feel extremely uncomfortable eating animals, in which case it is sin for you. But somebody else doesn't feel that discomfort, so it's not sin for that person. Just like for a tiger feels no discomfort in catching a deer and tearing it apart and eating it, feels no discomfort. So that action is not sin for the tiger. And so there must be tigers in human form also who feel no discomfort on eating animals. So as far as they are concerned, it's no sin for them. Nanda, which means it's personal. Yes, Nanda, sin is entirely personal because each one of us are at different levels of evolution. And at different levels of evolution, different things will appear wrong to us. Let's take an example. Take a criminal. A criminal will kill people and not feel anything. He's perfectly all right with it. It doesn't matter to him. So he's not done any sin. But suppose there's another person, he kills somebody and he lives under that huge guilt. My God, what have I done? How can I do this? So that person has committed sin. So sin is very personal, and dependent on your degree of evolution, you will feel guilty about things. So the criminal feels no guilt on killing somebody, but somebody else says, oh my God, I can't kill anybody. Okay, so it's slightly better state of affairs. But he has no problem, for instance, punching them or, whatever, beating them up or whatever. No agitation whatsoever. He feels that's fine. So if he feels that fine, it's not sin for him. Another person may just shout at somebody and then feel very guilty. Arey maine usko aise kyun bola? Why did I talk to him like this? I was so rude. So for that person, speaking like that becomes a sin. Okay, so first fellow, the criminal, killed somebody, felt no guilt. The second fellow, he could beat up people. He felt no guilt, but he could not have killed anybody. Okay, third fellow, he shouted, but he doesn't get around to beating people up. He doesn't do Mavaligiri on the road, for instance, but he just shout. And he would not start, getting into a street brawl, but he's okay shouting. Another person feels, I said, I didn't shout, but I spoke very rudely. I shouldn't have spoken so rudely. So for that person, that will become sin. And for another person, they may say, oh, that person I didn't help that person. No, I didn't do any damage, but I didn't help that person. That person I could have helped and I didn't. So that was real sad. That was real sad of me. So at different levels of evolution, different things appear wrong to us. And as we evolve, we start becoming, let us say, uncomfortable with things that we were completely comfortable with earlier in life. Okay, so 1 second here. There seem to be some questions. What is it? Sanjay says, is any action which causes discomfort, displeasure, pain, sorrow, etc. to others also sin? No. It's causing of displeasure, pain, sorrow, etc. to others is not sin. For the person who is performing the action. It is sin for that person when he feels guilty or he or she feels discomfort. Because it is possible, right, that for instance, Krishna started this war, this whole Mahabharata war. Now lots of people were in discomfort because of the war he has started. That doesn't make it a sin for him. He knows what he is doing is the right thing. So other people's discomfort doesn't make it sin for us. My discomfort, I feel I did wrong by harming that person. That's what is my sin. So sin is subjective. Something which is punya may be sin for others. That's right. Something which is punya for me may be sin for others. Like remember that criminal who was killing people and he was feeling nothing about it. When he evolves, he will start hitting people but will stop short of killing them. So he has evolved and he will think himself a very great person. Ki maine usko mara. I mean, I hit him, but I didn't kill him. So he will be proud of that action because that's his level of growth at the moment. Just as sometimes we feel proud when we help people because we just come to that level that we've just started helping people. So then we feel a little proud. Good, I helped that person. But if it's your normal life, then okay, that's just what you do. There's nothing what's there to feel proud about. So yes, it is subjective. So what is punya for one is pap for another, correct? Because each one of us are at different levels of evolution and different things will appear sin to us. The more we grow, the more reluctant we will be to do certain things. It will just not gel with us. We won't do that thing. And if we do it, we won't give ourselves excuses on why we did it. We just know we did it wrong and we were not doing this again. Deepa says, oops, and if it's not sin for him, he doesn't get his karma back. This word karma, I think I want to forbid it in classes. Karma means action. If it is the result of your action has to come to you. But what is the result of the action for this man is that he is not guilty. That is the result of his action, right? He did an action and it got no agitation out of it. So that's his karma, that he got no agitation out of it. So when we are talking about sin, the result, the karma out of the sin is the mental agitation. However, the physical repercussion will always follow physical laws. The mental repercussions will follow mental laws. So sin is reference to mental laws, right? The agitation. So as far as he is concerned, he doesn't get the agitation. So in that sense, he won't get, in that sense, he is getting the karma. He's not getting the agitated. If we are not able to break through from that idea that something is sin. So you're saying he's not getting karma. Yeah, of course he's getting karma. His karma is that he will not get agitated. Of course, physical results will come to him. Like for instance, if he beats somebody up, then that person will also protect himself and also try to beat him, right? So he may get wounded in that fight or whatever. So physical repercussions will come to him. I hope that's clear. Sanjay, Deepa, I hope you all are clear. Aditi, if you have a question, I can't see it over here. I just see Hariom. Okay, Sanjay. Now Varsha says, so we cannot judge anyone else's action and say he sinned. It is a measure of actions for ourselves. Correct. Varsha, this is a very important learning we must have from philosophy. It's not our business to judge other people. We just protect ourselves from their madness. Just as when you're driving a car, you don't get into a judgment of who's driving, you really don't start worrying about how other people are driving. All you are interested in is keeping your car safe. So if you see somebody driving erratically, you move to the side because you don't want to get in his way. So you protect yourselves from, we all have to protect ourselves from the madness people are up to, but it's not our business to get into whether they have sinned or not.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh my God, lots of questions on sin, is it? Yes, Seema, that's correct. If you feel proud on helping others, it would be benevolent ego. Aditi, if you give an example of Kasbo or Kasab, a jihadi fighting for their cause, killing people, and he should be put in jail. If it's not a sin in his eyes, then why do we judge him as a sinner? We don't judge him as a sinner, we judge him as a criminal. It's not our business to judge people as a sinner or not, but it is our business to protect ourselves. So those who are what should I say, those who are in charge of the city. It is their obligatory duty to take care of the city, and part of that obligatory duty is to prevent harm coming to that city. So any form of harm coming to that city, they will have to deal with. Whether he's a sinner or not is for him to see, not for us to see. But we have to protect ourselves from the madness that other people are up to. If they are up to madness, or if we think they're up to madness, like it's simple. Like if you're driving on the road, you not only drive well yourself, you watch out for the bad drivers, because the bad drivers, even if you're driving well, the bad drivers can create problem in your life. So you watch out for them. But that's all you're seeing, that you keep yourself safe. You're not passing judgment on them. Okay, Aditi?
Yes, Jankiji, thank you. So basically, sinner is within your head, whether you feel that you're a sinner or you're not a sinner. But criminal is something that the society decides.
Yes.
For their benefit.
Yes, of course. Because a criminal may not be a sinner at all. In fact, many people who were deemed as criminals actually were benevolent, like Socrates or Christ or even Shahid Bhagat Singh. All these people were deemed by society to be criminals. So that is society's business.
Got it. Thank you, Jankiji.
9 new messages. Okay, so let me see what else is happening here. Gokul. Can we say Gokul? I don't think I know you, Gokul. This is very strange in these classes, because first time in my life I'm facing this. I don't know who I'm talking to. Gokul, do you attend classes? Are you new over here? Is this your first class? Or am I not recognizing you from earlier classes? Can you tell me? Because to answer questions, I have to know who I'm talking to.
It's my first class with you, Janki.
Okay, so how did you come here? From yesterday, is it?
I heard you on YouTube somewhere.
Okay, fine. All right. So Gokul, welcome to the class. What is your question? Can we say that sin depends on the intention with which the action was taken? Yes, correct. The sin depends on the intention, because the intention is what agitates us really. When we act with selfish intentions, we are bound to get agitated. It's a question of time. And when we act with noble intentions, whatever happens in the action, eventually you feel calmness, you feel positive within yourself, because you know you did the best you could. and whether it works or not, you are okay. So yes, you're completely right. Sin is absolutely in the intention, because the same action done with a good intention is a good action, and exactly the same thing done with a bad action is a bad action. So I hit my child. So if I do it because I'm angry, then that's a bad action. And I do it because I believe that at this moment, if I slap my child, I'll put him on the right track. It's for his good I'm doing it. Then I did a good action. Okay, Gokul?
Hari Om.
Sham Punwani, all the agitations in the mind are sin. Yes, eventually. Yes, you can say that. Okay, it seems to have come back. Okay, so all agitations of the mind are sin. Yes, that's eventually where the argument does reach, that anything you're doing that's agitating you is actually sin. So all the attachments, all the nonsense that we do are actually our sins coming back to haunt us. And that poetic way is how they said, don't do something wrong, you'll be in hell. You'll be in hell means what? You will be mentally agitated. So yes, eventually all agitations of the mind are sin. But in the context of sin, we talk of the agitation of guilt. What about laws of nature? They can't be individually different. Yes, Uttara, laws of nature are always the same. They're not individually different. I don't know why you're thinking they're individually different. The law is that if you perform an action which according to you is wrong, you will have mental agitation. That's universally true. And if you get into a fight with somebody, then that person, if you start punching somebody, that person is likely to punch you back, so you may get physically injured. So yes, the laws are always true. I mean, in every case the laws are true. So they are not individually different.
Yeah, Chan. To give the example of vegetarian and non-vegetarian food, like scientific
I can't hear you. Uttara, I can't hear you. Your voice is garbled. Can you just type it so it's easier? Or let me just guess what you're saying. You're saying that, because I heard the word vegetarian. So let's say that in vegetarian food, you eat, let's say you're a meat eater. So, and you feel no guilt on it. So you're not committing sin.
Exactly.
But when you eat meat, whatever are the physical consequences of eating meat, those physical consequences you will get. But that's not your sin. That is those physical consequences. If you feel guilty about it, then it becomes sin. Is that clear?
Physical discomfort does not amount to be a sin.
No. Whatever, I don't know what are the physical consequences of having meat. It may be that you have more protein, it may be that you get your arteries clogged, whatever way it is, you get whatever the result is. Following the natural laws, of course.
And like that killing somebody, okay, as you said, criminal does not feel the mental agitation. But obviously that also, there is a nature's law that one human shouldn't kill the other one.
There's no nature's law about killing. What is the law? I mean, Mahabharata killed so many people. What result did Krishna get out of it? I mean, don't say that, he had to die also. I mean, everybody has to die. But there's no, I mean, I don't know of any natural law about killing. You may end up killing or you may not end up killing. It all depends on why did you do what you did. A doctor may end up killing the patient, but we won't put him in jail because he was doing his best. Unfortunately, the patient died. But if you can prove he was negligent, that means he wasn't doing his best, then of course there will be proceedings against him.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Hariam.
Okay, 11 new messages, wow. Deepa, yes, I suppose you're saying to that, whatever, okay, Omkar. So it seems that those with a higher degree of conscience are likely more sinful. That's sweet, Omkar. They're not more sinful, they're more aware of sin, and therefore they're less sinful. There is something in them that prevents them from undertaking those actions which in their mind is wrong. So their threshold of seeing what is wrong is much higher than it is for other people. So you can't say they're more sinful, they're actually less sinful because their discrimination about what is right and what is wrong is far more evolved. Is that, huh?
No, the seen the other way, those who have a high degree of conscience would feel more agitated even for things that they would have unknowingly done. For example, you bump, you hurt somebody unknowingly and you feel agitated about it because you are that kind of a person.
Yeah, you will, but therefore you will be more careful that you don't hurt people even unknowingly. And if at all that ever happens, you will take immediate action because you thought, oh, I did something wrong.
So that's fine.
Yes, you would be more sensitive.
You are sinful.
No, you're not sinful in that sense. You are more careful. Why would you be more sinful? You're more conscious. A person who's more conscious of dirt is not more dirty. A person who's more conscious of dirt is more clean.
No, because by definition, the agitation is the sin.
Right?
Which means if you have more agitation, you're more sinful.
That's right.
Which means that if you have a higher degree of conscience or you are more sensitive, you're more sinful.
No. Think about the example again. Okay? Just take this thought out of your mind and think of the example again. Suppose you are more conscious of dirt, will you be less clean or more clean? Since you are sensitive towards it, you will avoid it. Those who are insensitive towards it feel nothing about throwing everything everywhere. Once somebody came into our house and unfortunately there was a newspaper lying on the sofa. So I said, I'm sorry, this place is a mess. To which he said, what mess? If everything is in its place, it's not a house. So I was like kind of taken aback. Oh, why would everything not be in its place in the house? Why should it be a mess? Just because you're living there doesn't mean you have to create a pigsty out of it. I mean, of course, he was being polite and, he was playing the role of the guest, which is fine. That's just a polite way of talking. But the logic was not right. Of course, I couldn't tell him that logic was not right. He was only trying to be polite. But the fact is, the more conscious you are of dirt, the more clean you're going to keep everything. The more conscious you are of right and wrong, the more you're going to be on the right path. Because you will get agitated if you're not, right? You're going to keep away from everything that agitates you. So you're assuming that, oh, this person is doing all these wrong things and getting very agitated. No, he's not doing those wrong things. He's not keeping the house a mess if he is conscious of dirt. You're assuming that everyone is doing wrong things, equal wrong things, and some people are just more agitated out of it. That's your assumption. That's not how it works. Everybody doesn't keep the house in the same level of dirt or cleanliness. They keep it at different levels based on what they're conscious of.
You're talking about the action. I'm talking about the mind. Because sin, as per the definition, is agitation at the mental level. So I'm saying because if a person is more sensitive, there is likelihood of that person being more agitated over small things also. No?
I don't know what else to say, Omkar. Try and understand the example. A person who's conscious of cleanliness will be agitated over dirt. So what does it mean he will do?
Yeah, he will keep clean as a result.
He will be clean, yes. He will not make everything dirty and be agitated. That's what you're saying. Oh, this person will keep doing wrong things and because he's sensitive, he'll be more agitated. No, because he's sensitive, he won't do wrong things, so he won't be agitated.
No, but that's not correct, Gandhiji. If the definition of dirt was at the mental level, you see more dirt, you are more dirty. If that was the definition, at the level of the mind, the more dirt you see, the more dirty you are, because that's That's the example we are giving. The more agitated you are, the more sin you are committing.
Okay, go back to the definition. When an action comes back and agitates you, I'm repeating, when an action comes back and agitates you, you have committed sin. Now,
Yes.
a person who's more developed does not perform these type of actions that comes back and agitates them.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
Janki ji, can I say something?
Yeah, 1 second,
Hariom.
Preeti. Yeah, Hariom, 1 second, Preeti. Um, so people who are more conscious of dirt tend to keep things more clean. So too, those more conscious of sins tend to be better in their nature. Oh gosh, what is this now? I'll just come to you, Preeti. I seem to have 16
Okay, no
more
problem.
messages to see what they were. So Valmiki was a criminal, not a sinner. Then he became a sinner, not a criminal. Is that correct? Yes, Varsha. You people love to do all this stuff. Yes. So first, Valmiki was a criminal. He was doing wrong things, but he was not a sinner because he didn't think it was. Then he became a sinner and not a criminal. That's correct. He stopped doing the negative things he was doing, and instead he started feeling bad that he did these things and took corrective action. So you're right. Yes, that's correct, Varsha. Anuja, what about impulsive action? Yes, Anuja, when you stretch the example, when you stretch the definition, it does include impulsive action as well.
Yeah.
Go. Sorry? Anuja said something?
Yes, but that will be in sinner the same or agitation.
It's the same thing really, but sin is what agitates us. What with the action that comes back and agitates us. Okay, that's a sin. So initially, when you're talking about sin, that agitation refers to the guilt that we feel. Oh gosh, I shouldn't have done it. But when you stretch the definition, when you understand it in wider ramifications, then impulsive action also agitates us, and therefore it will also come under sin. But that's at higher levels, not at in the beginning.
Janki ji, by accident, if that impulsive action turns out to be good,
If by accident the person's action turns out to be good, what about then?
I mean, unconsciously you do something which, yeah.
I can't hear at all. It's all garbled. Maybe it's my connection. Can you write it down so that I can just read it? I can't hear a thing. Okay. Gokul, isn't the biggest sin not knowing what I am? Yes, Gokul, that's correct. When you extend it all the way up to realization, yes, that's the ultimate sin is just not knowing who we are. We are the self, and not knowing that is the biggest sin. But in the initial years, you don't think so because not knowing it is not agitating you at all in your own concept of things. But in the fact of the matter is all agitations stem from that one ignorance. Okay, Gokul?
Thank you, ma'am.
Oops, there's something here. Nayana says, Arjuna was feeling anxious and guilty and so on, but Duryodhana was clear he wanted to kill to get what he wants. Both cases of ignorance. Then who is sinful and who is not? Okay, Nayana. Duryodhana is not sinful. Arjuna is sinful because Duryodhana has no guilt about what he does. In fact, there's a criticized portion of the Mahabharata because Duryodhana goes to heaven. And so everybody says, Arey, how did Duryodhana go to heaven? Arey, he had no guilt. He was a purely negative person and he was just being himself, totally being himself. So he had no guilt about it. So he was not doing anything that was sin as far as he's concerned. Though he was the wrong party, he was not doing sin. But whenever Arjuna felt guilt, he was being sinful. So therefore, Krishna had to educate him on how to do things correctly. So it wasn't Duryodhana who was sinful, it was Arjuna who was sinful. I hope you're understanding this properly. Arjuna is the good guy, therefore he feels the sense of sin. Duryodhana is being himself, he's a negative guy. He's like a tiger, he's on a rampage. He's not feeling negative at all, he's not sinning at all. So please understand, sin is very subjective. It's to do with your level of growth, what you find sin or not. Okay, Uttara, reference to Omkar's point. When we are more careful, aren't we more stressful of following and ensuring that mistakes are not done, of keeping the house more clean? I don't know why you say that. Everybody seems to be under this impression. We are not stressful of it, we are more conscious of it. Those who are conscious of their carbon footprint need not be stressed about it. Getting stressed about it means that the desire is going out of your intellectual control. But just a consciousness of things, a consciousness of good manners doesn't make you an ill-mannered person and doesn't stress you out either. So it's not about getting obsessed with it, it's just being conscious of it. You are more aware about it. Yeah. From Aditi, Omkar question. People with higher degree of consciousness will also have a higher intellect, thereby understanding a situation more objectively, thereby being less agitated. Yes, yes, that's correct, Aditi. You would be less agitated because you are more objective. That means your intellect is in control. You're not doing wrong actions and you're not allowing wrong actions around you. So you will definitely be less agitated. Anuja, okay. Anuja, smoking one is conscious but can't get over, so will be agitated. Yes, if you are doing actions which you don't wish to do, you will be agitated. So there, and the agitation is good because the agitation is going to propel you to stop doing whatever according to you is wrong.
Janakiji, this is Sanjay Sen.
Yeah, Sanjay, just hold on, Sanjay.
Oh,
I have many messages, then I have Preeti to deal with, then I come to you.
Okay. All right.
These classes are becoming memory test for me nowadays. Does impulsive action arise from lack of application of intellect? Yes, Jatin, that is, when there is no application of intellect, that is an impulsive action. Hence, it remains an action which is capable of causing agitation. That's correct. Shilpa, as we grow, we become more aware about our actions and feel more guilty. So we become more sinner. We don't become a sinner because we are guilty about our actions. Shilpa, you're also saying the same thing all these people are saying. When you become more aware, you perform less wrong actions because you're aware that this is a wrong action. So you tend not to go there. You don't become more agitated, you become less agitated. You don't become more of a sinner, you become less of a sinner because you don't do those actions. So unless you do the action, getting agitated by the action doesn't come. Wait. Now I can't take this down any further. Yeesh. Okay, I think I've covered, have I covered everybody's question? I can't go any further down this thing. Oops, here's something. Manoj says, we hear if we are not happy, agitated, we are place-wise, we won't be happy any other place. This makes us stick to a place trying to correct things, but seeing things are not improving, we tend to change to better place and can see the difference. Is it wrong to choose better environment after you have tried to correct whatever possible in existing environment? No, of course not. There's no rule against changing, but you must know what agitated you here, and you must be sure that when you make that change, that is not going to agitate you. So there's now nothing wrong with making a change. Most certainly we can make changes, but when we change the external environment and we don't remove the internal problem that caused the agitation, then it is possible that that agitation will recur. So we must be aware about this when we make that change. Okay, Manoj?
Thank you, madam.
Manish, so technically one can say one can sin one's way to heaven like Duryodhana. Manish, yes, you can sin your way to heaven like Duryodhana, assuming you're at his level. Because a tiger can kill and feel nothing. But if you and I kill, we probably will not be able to get away without the agitation. So yes, technically you can do it, but only if you are at that level.
So isn't that the easier way out?
Yes.
Go through the effort, self-development and all that.
Yes, true. That is why you find less developed people sometimes are very happy no matter what they keep doing in life. It is easier for them, but the fact is, how will you go backwards? It would be very easy, your life would be very easy, for instance, if you didn't know English and you were an ignorant person. But now you do know English, so how are you going to go backwards? You know it now. So that is not an option available to us. In fact, if you really think about it, we all are doing many things which are wrong from a higher standpoint and we don't know about it. So we are quite happy thinking that we are not sinning, but actually as our awareness, as our intellect grows, we will look back on these actions that we have done and regret them. So, and in fact, that is an indication that we have grown, that you can look back and regret something is an indication you've grown because now you're seeing something you didn't see earlier. So, this state of being perfectly happy with doing bad things is our state as well. It's not just Duryodhana making his way to heaven like that. It's something we are currently also doing because our intellect also cannot see all the negative things that we are currently doing. We don't sin, but we are doing those negative things.
Okay. But heaven cannot be the goal of life, right?
Heaven in the sense of mental peace. Yes, it's not the goal, but what they talk about is as long as you don't know, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss.
Absolutely.
So it's not like a goal, but you are happy at that time, in that sense. Sahadev, what about a person who messes the house at the expense of making others agitated but does not get agitated, oneself get agitated? Yeah, they are. It's like the criminal. He's going around killing everybody, getting everybody agitated, and he is like completely fine. So that's him. It's the same thing. So when we are insensitive to other people, when we are not developed enough, when our intellect is not developed enough to know how we are troubling other people, we cause them a lot of trouble. But as far as we are concerned, we are not sinning because it's not troubling me. So I am not sinning. It's just everybody around me will be troubled, and so they will grow out of that agitation. They will come to realize that whatever they have to understand from the agitation you are presenting them. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Does Minakshi Sundaram Hariharan? Minakshi, again, do I know you? Minakshi?
No, this is the first time I'm attending this.
Oh, okay. So how did you come here?
Thanks to Sarah Khan.
Oh, I see. Okay. So is your name Minakshi? Do I call you Minakshi?
Yeah, my name is Meenakshi Sundaram.
Okay.
I come from a place called Madurai. Lord Shiva's name is Meenakshi Sundaram.
Oh, I see. Okay. So does that mean Duryodhana is a karma yogi? Is your question? No, it doesn't mean you're a karma yogi just because you're happy. All these people who are doing negative things in the world are maha thrilled with themselves, but they are not karma yogis because they are living in a state of ignorance. One day they are going to grow up and find out what they've just done. So this is just a temporary sort of solace they have. Just as we have right now. We don't know many stupid things, regrettable things that we are doing right now. So we may be hurting people unconscious of this, but one day we'll grow up, one day we will see what nonsense we are doing, and one day that agitation will come back and hit us. So it's just a temporary thing. He's certainly not a karma yogi. The reason he's not agitated is because he's so below karma yogi, that I don't know what. He's a negative person. There's no question of karma yogi. He's a bad man. He's a vicious man. So there's no question of karma yogi as far as he's concerned. I hope you are understanding the concept correctly. A person who's doing wrong by our standards is not a sinner as far as he himself is concerned. Sin is subjective. Okay, please get this clearly. There's no question of we are saying that if you are not agitated by your actions, you're a good person. No. If you're not agitated by your actions, you're a bad person. A good person is agitated when he does something wrong. Omkar, when he does something wrong, not he is more agitated. He is more agitated when he does something wrong. Omkar and all your advocates. Okay.
I've heard good people are dangerous people also.
Good people are dangerous people, yes, because in a certain sense, because they sort of upset the social balance, as it were. They make life difficult for people because they are trying to help. That's why the good people get killed, right? Socrates got killed, Christ got killed, Bhagat Singh got killed. So in that sense, they're dangerous because we are too silly to understand that they're doing us good.
Correct.
So in that sense, yeah. Okay, so iPad. Now, who is iPad? Should we read the line fully? That is punya karmana plus antagatam.
Yeah, Janki ji, this is Shilpa. What I meant to say is, should we read the text 28 fully? That is, besides no sin, you should also be doing good work.
Yes, we haven't even got to the words. I took one word and I was talking about it, and then we have all hell has broken loose. So, so we haven't. We haven't gone anywhere. So yeah, Shilpa, I'm coming to that. So don't worry, we will come to the verse. I'm just like, every time I think I've covered the messages, I see so many more. So then I go back and I see what else. Okay, Preeti, I think you've been waiting a long time. I'll take yours now.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah. Go ahead, say, and then there's
Okay,
Taruna. Yeah.
See, it's the state of mind which labels us as a sin. Now, we're going back to Omkar's query. When we get, many a times we justify our actions, right or wrong, and get agitated on other people's actions. So that agitation in our mind, are we, what sin have we committed? Or is it the low intellect?
What is the sin? Interesting. Yes, we don't understand how our selfishness is playing. See, when we are talking about sin, we are starting by talking about a very small percentage of actions which we realize are wrong, and therefore we get agitated by them. As we make this definition grow bigger, we start seeing our other agitations, and we start saying, okay, so why am I agitated here? So when you start asking that question, so now I'm not doing anything wrong, so why am I agitated here? Then you start understanding how every agitation comes from selfishness. And slowly it dawns upon you how pervasive our wrongness is, how selfish we are. There is nobody in the world capable of agitating me. Only my selfishness can agitate me, nothing else. And slowly we have to grow into that understanding to see that this agitation, how is it my selfishness? This is a very difficult thing to do because the mind will never let you do that. You'll always justify it. We all will. It's human
This is
nature.
what I'm saying, and we justify our action. But now, that since you have given that example, just tell me if I'm right or wrong. Now, if somebody is doing something wrong and I get agitated, So does that, and you said it is prompted by selfishness. Is it that I want to control that person? That is my selfishness?
Not
Then
necessarily.
what is my selfishness?
That you want your desires fulfilled.
Okay.
Just like that person wants their desires fulfilled.
Okay, get it. Okay.
Control may be one way of doing it, but the point is you want your desire fulfilled.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Taruna?
Hello, ma'am.
Hariom.
My question is, how sin and non-sin, when you experience sin and when you don't experience sin, how it is in relation to your increase of vasanas, and how a person who is not feeling sinful, how far is he from self-realization?
He's further away, he's less developed, right? So the less developed you are, the further away you are.
Okay. And suppose a person who is not feeling sinful, is he also increasing the vasanas as a person who is feeling sinful?
Yes, whether you're increasing the vasanas or not is a matter of how much you're using your head. If you're doing your things with using your head, you won't get desire ridden. If you use your head, you get desire ridden. When you get desire ridden, you increase your vasanas.
Okay, these are two separate things. Thank you.
Sahadev, so society, the majority can also be absolutely wrong. Yes, of course. In fact, quite often in history we have seen that the majority has been absolutely wrong. During Nazi Germany, the majority was wrong. I mean, history has given us so many instances where this has happened. So we cannot go blindly with the majority. We have to check for ourselves individually each time. Is this particular thing right or wrong? Because it may be right, it may be wrong. So we must know that individually and particularly. Deepak Punwani, is agitation a reaction observed by mind or intellect? Agitation is felt by the mind and registered by the intellect. The mind can go on feeling agitated, and if the intellect is asleep, the person will not even say they are agitated. The other people will know they are agitated. So the intellect will register this. Many people are very agitated. You can see they're agitated, and then you tell them they are very agitated. They'll say, "No, I'm not agitated," because the intellect is just not seeing what is going on inside them. Very few people are sensitive to what is happening within them. So the mind feels whatever it's feeling, and then it goes on from experience to experience to experience, and the intellect is asleep, so I have no idea what experience you just went through. Is that okay, Deepa?
Yes, thank you.
Then Taruna, I finished. Now Manisha Handa. Is going to heaven and self-realization are two separate things? Yes, of course. Going to heaven means just being happy. There is no geographical location called heaven. There is no heaven that we are going to. When our minds are in a blissful state, we call it heaven. And when we are in an agitated state, we call that hell. They're just two experiences. They are nothing to do with going here and there. There is nowhere to go. And so is self-realization separate? Yes, completely separate, because heaven is a state of temporary peace of mind. Heaven is not a permanent state. Self-realization is a permanent state of peace. Now, no matter what happens, apuryamanam machalassamutram, like the ocean in the Gita, it says, it's like the ocean. No matter what water goes into the ocean ever stays the same. Millions and millions of gallons of water are poured in by the rivers, but the ocean stays ever the same. So anything goes in, anything comes out, ocean stays the same. Similarly, a man of realization, a person of realization, his calmness, his peace is never affected. So that's a permanent state. Heaven is a temporary state of mental peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, is there anything else? Have I finished with everything? I can't tell. Okay, I think that's it. We finished with our time at least. So, we'll continue next time. Oh, next time we have a lecture. Go ahead, make your announcement.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, just a reminder for those who are new, next Sunday would be Janki's Guru Purnima talk. Those who are not on the WhatsApp group, Omkar, can you just put up the number? Please message me so that I can put you on the group. Next Sunday is the talk on ideal student, ideal teacher.
Janki ji, can I remind you there was a gentleman wanting a question?
There was a what?
There was a gentleman who wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, who?
After Preeti, I don't know. I just wanted to.
No,
Janki ji,
Taruna. Oh, Sanjay. Yes,
that's
Sanjay.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, Janki ji. It was partially answered. My
Okay.
question was more on, it was asked that my action, I don't think my action is a sin. How does it relate with my vasanas? I
Okay.
could not connect the two.
Okay, so when you have a strong vasana for something, you automatically think that is the right thing. So you cannot see it as a sin when your vasana is very strong. Only when that vasana is losing its hold on you a little bit, you can get some perception into it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Hari Om.
Hari Om Janki.
Hari Om,
Hari
thank
Om.
you.
Hari Om.
Janki ji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.